I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, okay?
Hello, friend. Welcome to season 3 of I'm Sorry, Okay, a podcast where we are watching so much Degrassi. I'm LD, filling in for Mary, and I'm here with Paul. This week, we watched season 3, episode 1 of Degrassi Junior High, Can't Live With Them, part 1. This episode was written by Jan Moore, directed by Kit Hood, and originally aired on November 7th, 1988. In this episode, as the new school year begins, Wheels receives some tragic news. 8th graders Arthur and Yick conspire to make life miserable for a new 7th grader.
Well, that about sums it up.
Yeah, I feel like they really kind of gave us the end.
That's Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, that's a wrap on this episode. See you next week.
After watching the episode, the title feels really morbid. Like, I get that they're sort of referencing a line that happens midway through the episode itself, but like...
What I take real issue with is that part 2 is not called Can't Live Without Him.
Uh-huh.
It's just like Can't Live With Him, part 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels like it doesn't need to be part 1. Like, yes, it could be Can't Live With Them. And And then, yes.
And then the next one is ... Can't Live Without Him.
Like, it writes itself.
Yeah, if there's any teen shows that are looking for, people for the writer's room, hit me up. I'm available. I'm really good at titling episodes, especially two-parters.
Reference.
Cool. So we open with Wheels' parents on a big, in my opinion, pandemic mood. They are doing a puzzle.
It's incredibly wholesome.
Yeah.
Incredibly wholesome.
But they also are talking like they've never done a puzzle before. Which I love.
I'm not really that big into puzzles, but I feel like I might be flailing about in a similar manner if I were tasked with the chore of doing a puzzle.
I hate a puzzle.
Same.
I don't have the patience. I don't have the spatial awareness for a puzzle.
I don't have the space alone, the physical space.
Right? You need a real big table for a whole ass puzzle.
Just feels like there's a certain type of person that really wants to do a puzzle, and we are not it.
Do you think that people who are good at puzzles are also good at Rubik's Cubes? Because I can't do a Rubik's Cube.
Honestly, no. That does feel like a even totally different skill set than a puzzle, but maybe.
I mean, a Rubik's Cube is nothing if not just a 3D puzzle.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
I think this is off to a really good start so far.
We're doing a great job.
Without Mary to rein us in, this is going to get really chaotic. And I feel like for anyone listening, Mary's taking a little bit of a break while she does a job hunt. And, Paul and I are the color commentary guys. And Mary is the mom friend who's she's got all the snacks and Band-Aids in her bag. We're just climbing all over the jungle gym.
Everyone's organized Capricorn friend.
Yeah, and in this situation, a Capricorn rising is simply not enough to keep me in check. So this could get really meandering. Anyway, so Wheels comes home late from Joey's, and his parents are basically just we don't want you to hang out with him anymore. I feel like...
What's the deal?
Yeah.
we missed out on seeing all a whole summer of hijinks. Come on.
They're he got you into trouble all summer. But they only reference in this episode, the episode where they stole the car, which was in this universe 3 or 4 months ago.
Yes.
So I'm just kind of okay, so either you're not over it and you're just now deciding to bring down the hammer, or a bunch of other stuff has happened and the writers absolutely could not be fucked to just think of a few examples. And I'm going with option 2.
Yeah. I mean, stealing a car does seem sort of pinnacle hijinks, but yeah, come on, throw us a bone. It could be there's tons of references in culture where Calvin and Hobbes, they have the noodle incident. The noodle incident is never explained, but they just reference it. Give us something where it's just oh, but do you remember? I don't know. I don't have a better example than the noodle incident.
Gavin and Stacey is a show where the entire way through they're referencing some dark incident, but never say what it was.
Sure.
Like, but also the other thing I have to say about this scene is, when has a parent telling their kid that they can't hang out with their friend ever worked out for anyone?
And it feels like Wheels' parents have said this all to him before. So, like, how is this any different than last school year when they were telling him he can't hang out with Joey? Like,
Now they're going to actually enforce it, it seems
Yeah.
like, or try to.
a little too lenient parenting from
Did
the
your
Wheels.
parents ever tell you that you couldn't hang out with somebody?
No, I think I was too much of a nerd to like really have been affiliated with someone that would actually get me into that kind of trouble.
I was the kid that parents told their kids they couldn't hang out with.
I could see that.
I was a big nerd. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't even start shoplifting until I got to college. Like, I was in high school, I was really doing nothing, and I was straight edge. I think it was purely because like I had like a haircut, you know what I mean, and like clothes that parents just don't understand.
Oh yeah, and we almost get a parents just don't understand in this scene, but the writers are not fresh enough.
So we are outside of school and Nancy is campaigning, and my very favorite line this episode, "Hi, remember me?" Nancy Kramer. I'm running for student council president. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, Nancy Kramer also watches Degrassi Junior High. Like, she's so aware that she is a forgettable character that she had to make sure that you remember her.
She's got one of those personalities where you just might not remember her, like even if you were going to school with this person. And that's
okay.
And she recognizes that, and I think that's fair.
She's one of those people that people are constantly like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And she's like, we've had math together for 4 years.
Which I've coincidentally been both that person and done that to others. So I feel like it really just depends on where you land.
Yeah, man. There was someone in my year at art school, different department, but like we crossed paths at literally every turn. She had the space next to mine during our degree show, and she still introduces herself to me every time I see her.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I know you know who I am. I am, like, I'm face blind and I know who you are.
Hey, remember me? I'm Nancy.
Hey, remember me?
Also, we get a quick shot of like who I can only assume is the caddie from Happy Gilmore, like kind of mousishly walking up before Wheels and Snake. I love this kid.
Have you ever heard the theory that everyone is either a bird or a rodent?
No.
Have we talked about this?
I don't think so.
This kid's a rodent.
Oh yeah, he's a little tiny mouse.
Yeah. I think I'm a bird.
I'm a rodent for sure.
Yeah.
I'm literally becoming rats on Instagram, so yes, I'm a rodent.
I think you are kind of a capybara, like a big chill rodent.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Snake and Wheels are pissed off that Wheels' parents isn't gonna let him hang out with Joey anymore. And then another extremely good line so quickly after "remember me" is, I was only an hour and a half late. He like quickly
Wait.
I am wondering if he's correcting himself because he was actually an hour and a half late. Because like if I were his parents, I'd also be pissed.
I mean, an hour and a half is, yeah.
Like if I had to stay up late doing a puzzle.
And I mean, yeah, they're like trying to get this sick demo recorded, which like the pressure is real when you're like about to record a demo. And like,
I get it. I mean, Joey's pissed off. He thinks that this whole thing throws a wrench into the demo recording plan. And he's also pissed because he's still in grade 8. So Joey's got a lot of angst in this episode. And I think it's all pretty justifiable, but also it's also kind of like, well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Like if you weren't constantly getting your friends in trouble, you wouldn't be basically like the banned book of friendship.
Banned like BANNED, not banned BAND.
Yeah, like Fahrenheit 451 or whatever.
Totally.
Or I don't know, was Animal Farm banned? I bet that one was.
Yeah, probably.
It's all about communism.
But yeah, he's just constantly getting them into trouble and then shocked when they are in trouble. So yeah, I don't know.
He's like, I can't believe this. He's actually got a lot of like strong George Costanza vibes in that way, like doing something very stupid and being outraged by the result.
Huh, that's a hard relate for me. I'm absolutely George.
You're a Costanza. Costanza.
And Snake gives us our titular line.
Oh yeah.
We get the can't live with them, and then Wheels really force the Wheels character to say like, oh, I could live without my parents. Like, dude, why?
I mean, I feel like probably everyone when they're pissed off at their parents has said something like that. But
totally.
Most people who say that don't have their parents die very shortly after.
Not unless you're in the Degrassi universe. So if you are in the Degrassi universe, be careful. Don't speak that way.
Yeah, I would say the same for anyone entering the Grey's Anatomy universe. There's a lot of people who are like yelling at someone and they're like, I hate you. And then they like get in a car accident and their sister's brain dead.
I wish a rocket would land on your house.
Exactly. It's exactly that.
You're never going to believe what happened.
So we cut to the hall and Arthur and Yick are ready to be dicks now, no matter what.
We are cursed.
Yeah, man. We get a little bit of a covered up, but you can see it's still happening. Miss Avery's shoulder touch on Yick as he walks past. I feel that in Mary's absence, it's my duty to make sure everyone knows when we get a shoulder touch. And I would actually, I don't know how you feel about this. I didn't float this before we started recording, but I would like to keep track of how many shoulder touches we get through the season.
Okay. Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Wonderful.
I don't know if it's too late. Like, I don't know if we're going to get as many Miss Avery shoulder touches as we did in, for example, season 1, but I think worth noting.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So Arthur shows up looking like a rich dad going to the country club on a weekend with this, like, in my opinion, and in also complete factual reality, fugly ass leather jacket and his fringy scarf. Like, and I do believe that this just goes to show you, like, you cannot buy good taste. Like, all that's missing is a set of driving gloves. Like, what is this outfit?
He's got like a Davy Crockett vibe.
Honestly, I hate it. And, you know, Yick kind of extends the Miss Avery shoulder touch to Arthur and starts like feeling up on his jacket.
So I'm not sure if I would have really like zeroed in on whether or not something was real leather as like a 13-year-old boy.
No.
It just doesn't really, it all starts off weird and it doesn't get much less weird as we progress.
No, I definitely have some thoughts when we kind of get to the part where we find out what's going on with Arthur.
Yeah.
And I feel like I mean, we can kind of get into it. Like, obviously, like, he's dropping hints that like his mom is dropping cash on stuff, but Yick is just like needling him about his mom's finances, and it's so weird to me, and like not something that I ever would ask a friend unless I was legitimately like, ooh, I love this jacket, where did you get it? Because I too want to buy one.
Yes. This jacket is wonderful. Please tell me more. But no, Yick like claims that Arthur is being weird, but we have like minutes throughout this entire episode of Yick being really weird.
Really weird.
He just like rolls up on Arthur and just starts acting weird about this jacket. And it's like, okay. Just starts
pawing him, being like, it feels expensive.
I don't know.
And also, not to play the devil's advocate, like a man at a party who's had like exactly 2.5 beers, but like you can.
They're IPAs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're IPAs. You can get a jacket at a thrift store.
Yeah. It wasn't like that well fitting. I could see finding a jacket that's kind of big and buying it anyway.
Is Arthur ever wearing anything that's well fitting though?
He'll grow into it.
Maybe. So the caddie from Happy Gilmore, as previously described. In my notes, I wrote a very small curly boy, BOI, comes up and he asks Arthur and Yick where Miss Avery's class is. Obviously, we see them look over at Miss Avery across the hall, look back at themselves, and they're just like, yes, an opportunity.
To be dicks.
Yeah, so looks like we're going to get a classic Arthur and Yick B-plot, and I wish we weren't.
I feel like we're right back in season 1 where we began.
Yep. I truly do hate it. They tell this kid that they're chairmans of the welcoming committee, just like Joey did. Hate it.
It's all like just kind of parallel to that first scene that we get in the first episode, but it's just like, why are you like, so you know that what Joey did sucked, but you're like intentionally doing this to someone else. I can't hang with that. I'm not into it.
No, I expand on this in my What Did We Learn Today, but like I really think that like people should be learning from the traumatizing things that happened to them and not inflicting those things on other people, because it's like, well, I lived through it, so you have to too.
It's a boomer mentality. Can't hang.
Definitely. We kind of move over to a Lucy, twins, and LD walk and talk in the hall. Lucy just like really wants to be near the mans. She wants to meet more mans. There are not enough mans at Degrassi. She wants to see all the mans at the other school. And Heather and LD are just like fine being at Degrassi. They do not care. But Lucy and Erica are horny as hell. And one more time, just like in the finale, which like maybe if we'd gone many months between these seasons, we wouldn't be like, ugh, why did they keep mentioning this? But they once again, basically the exact same line, which I believe was also delivered by LD in the previous episode, mentioned that they will be doing their science labs at Borden High School.
Okay, so I actually never caught this information until my second rewatch of this episode. So that repetitious line was there for me or someone like me. I somehow completely missed this information the multiple times it was dropped in. So
okay, you're the target audience.
Here I am. Yeah.
It's good to know. So Arthur and Yick are showing Bartholomew Bond, who is our Happy Gilmore caddie, basically to his class, quote unquote, but shove him into the same broom closet where Arthur was shoved by Joey. And we get a broom head, which we haven't heard in a while.
True, yes.
Have not had a broom head in a little while. And they decide to let him out, but continue bullying him instead of just leaving him in the closet. It's like they had this moment where they were like, we have to be tough or whatever. Like Yick is just like, he is serving us, in my opinion, 4chan incel vibes.
I wrote Reddit brainwormed.
Yes. Those are the same guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about how like they have to be tough now.
Oh yes.
We get another one of my favorite lines for this episode, which is Bartholomew from inside the broom closet saying,
I'm not very enjoying this,
This has to have been improv or something because it's so weird. But it's just, I think it's really disappointing from like the two kids who made a map of the school so that they could avoid their bully in season 1 to be doing this to another kid who's also small, seems like a nice enough kid. His only mistake so far is not knowing where he's going and asking
being
these guys
new
for help. Yeah, it's
his big mistake. Yeah. It's just like they have no social capital to begin with, and it's not even that good of a prank, so it's not like they're gonna like impress anybody else with this. They're like literally just in a vacuum, like for each other, like being mean to some kid, and then they almost sort of like pull off like, you know what, let's backtrack here. And even that could have been like, hey, we just had to leave you in this closet for a few seconds because that happened to us, but like, so now you know what people might do, let's all hang out. But they don't even like, no, they just like decide to just keep rolling with this like pointless.
And I think that what they end up doing next is just really needlessly mean. So they point to their own classroom and tell them it's Miss Avery's class, and then they go in. And Bartholomew, which by the way, by this point in my notes, I was so sick of typing out. Like, it's a very long name. Sorry to all the Bartholomew's out there.
He specifically said that he prefers Bartholomew too.
I mean,
so
listen, it's a cool name, but
yeah, it's good. It's very long.
Yeah, just purely from a typing standpoint. Like he sits down, he pulls out this hilarious, like I wrote, what is that? A glockenspiel case?
It looks like a clarinet. Yes, actually, that is a way better description than what I had. But it looks like a music room case.
It's got his name. It's like a bright yellow, like hard plastic, basically briefcase. He pulls out a Superman comic and sits down because he is very like self-contained, which I really respect. But then Arthur and Yick come in, and I'm kind of wondering, like, you just saw that these guys pushed you in a broom closet. You know that they're not in your grade. Why are you still sitting in here? Like, how does he not look around and go like, I'm definitely in the wrong place?
He's nose deep in that Superman comic.
Oh, God. So Kathleen and Melanie walk in, and Kathleen's talking about how she's going to run for president. And Melanie's like, great, I'll be your campaign manager, whatever. And Kathleen immediately shoots her down. She's just like, I've got everything organized. I'm just like, she really does, though, because people actually like Melanie. Nobody likes Kathleen.
That's a classic Kathleen blunder, though.
It's true. She can't see, what is it, forest for the trees? Is that the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's just much like Bartholomew reading a comic with Arthur and Yick looming behind him.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Arthur and Yick come in the classroom and they decide that they're going to sit in the back because that's where tough guys sit, which is totally just like, okay. It's also
not incorrect, but...
No, not completely incorrect, but it's also where people who like aren't nearsighted sit. Like I was, by this point, I was a little bit of a slacker and I had to kind of sit in the middle. I was very nearsighted.
Yeah, actually, I think I sat in the middle too, because it's easier to just blend in. When you're in the back, the teacher is looking like you are very apparent to the teacher.
Yeah, exactly. The teacher knows who's sitting in back, and they know that you're sitting in back so that they don't call on you, which makes them call on you more.
Totally.
It's
these
just
fools.
Like basic psychology.
Come on.
Absolutely not. So Arthur gives us a bit of expository dialogue. He tells us that it's weird not having Steph here this year, and he tells us, the audience specifically, that she goes to private school now and she has to wear a uniform with knee socks and the whole thing. And Yick immediately is just like, private school costs money.
Yeah, what a little freak. Why is he so whatever? Like, just kind of going back to what we were saying, but why is he so worried about this stuff? Instead of just being like, oh, cool, what's the school called? Or like, is it far for her to get? Like, he's not actually interested in any of the details. He would just rather act weird. I don't know.
I mean, we've established that Yick's poor. Like, we talked about that in the previous episode where he had talked about his family and he was just saying like they're refugees and whatever. And like, I think that there's always been a class divide between Yick and Arthur, but I think we're possibly gearing up for a more major rift.
So you think this is more like a long-term, they're building a long-term idea with this? Okay.
I mean, it's not the first time they've showed us that there's a difference between their socioeconomic statuses, I guess. Mm-hmm. But Yick is just much more comfortable asking questions. Like I once had a boyfriend who asked literally everyone. If we were over at their house for a party, it was like, how much did that cost? How much did that cost? How much do you pay for rent? How much do you make at your new job? Like, it was so mortifying.
No.
And like, I don't know about you, but like when I was growing up, my parents were always like, people do not talk about money. You don't ask about people's money, like whatever. And I think now also looking back and I'm like, oh, that's because we were rich.
I believe there's a middle ground between those two things. But like, yes, I do think that what you're describing and just like sort of being up in people's business is not appropriate. And there's like a time and a place and like a conversational maneuvering that you can do to like get there if you really want to know.
Yeah. I mean,
like
it was really a culture shock for me when I moved to the UK because everyone here is extremely focused on class and talking about class and counting other people's money and talking about like who's secretly rich. Like, you know, it seems to be a very big part of the culture here. And that's always been really hard for me. So when I'm watching Yick, I'm just kind of like, ugh, I've had to have these conversations. So yeah, I'm moving us along now to, we're in the hall outside of Radich's class. We've got Joey and Snake and Wheels. They're all like outraged that they can't hang out. Scooter scoots past going into Radich's class. And,
Fucking badass as hell, by the way, and his little green polo tucked in.
honestly, you would wear this outfit.
Yeah.
Like, and you would look equally cute. I loved it. I think you may have had that polo.
I really feel like I have that exact shade.
We get a Narbo from Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And they all start talking about how small the grade 8s are, you know, like Wheels calls them ankle biters, whatever. I feel like this is a bad example because Scooter specifically skipped a grade and he is especially small.
He is so tiny, but it works. They're
Yeah,
using this character's backstory for this scene. It's fun.
I love that kind of difference between Joey, who should be in grade 9, and this kid who should be in grade 7.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
There's 2 years between Joey and Scooter.
That's awesome.
I love it. So Scooter and Bartholomew have this little friendship meet cute where they pull out the same comic and kind of look at each other. And I think if it were being made now, they would start dating.
Oh.
They would be our like middle school gay couple who like pull out their same comic. Like I bet they also have the same pack lunch.
Probably.
So Joey comes in and immediately tries to assert his dominance by making Arthur move out of his seat. Arthur's like trying to push back, you know, in kind of this way of like, I don't have to do what you say anymore. He's like, you know, like,
yeah, you do.
Doesn't have your name on it. And Joey's just like, don't make me mad. It's a very bold move for somebody who's repeating 8th grade to still try to be a bully.
Yeah, no, but it totally makes sense. And it totally makes sense that Arthur is just like, well, I somehow have no power in this situation, so I guess I'll just move anyway. To me, it all flowed exactly as it should have.
It's like absolutely no matter what, Joey is gonna sit where he wants to sit because no matter how many times he has to repeat this grade, he will learn no lessons. And
he's a pushy guy. Like that's just what he's like, even with his friends. So like he's gonna get his way.
Until Radich comes in and reminds the entire class that Joey is repeating 8th grade. I actually think this is a little bit of a dick move. Like my approach would have been to tell Joey to try sitting up front and then after class talk to him about trying some like new approaches to his education this year instead of in front of the whole class just like shaming him for being a repeater, because it was kind of Radich's call for him to be held back.
That's true too. But I mean, Radich he's just going to be a dick no matter what. Every single time.
Of course.
Yeah.
So Joey sits down in his newly assigned seat. He ends up hilariously having to swap back with Arthur, which I loved. And he sits down next to Caitlin.
What's up, Caitlin?
Ooh, and she gives him a look like, hey, baby.
Sparks are flying.
Right? Like, I'm just like, have you met this guy?
Seriously.
She does love a project and Rick is gone. He needs a new, like, kind of guy who's a little bit of a fuck up.
Yeah, that's actually very true also. R.I.P. Rick.
Black hold. Bermuda triangled. I was talking to somebody about the Bermuda Triangle the other day. They were talking about the fact that like when they were a kid, their like greatest fear was the Bermuda Triangle. And I was just like, yeah, man, I really thought that was going to come up a lot more in my like adult life alongside
that feels like it
quicksand.
Like it, yeah, like dropped off with like once high school hit, it was just like nobody cared about the Bermuda Triangle again or ever again.
Yeah, have you heard anybody talk about it in the last like 10 years?
Never.
Did they basically find a way to get people out of it? Like for a long time, I thought it was like, I asked my partner the other day, I was like, was the Bermuda Triangle fake? And he was just like, no, it was a real like problem. And I was like, okay, did they fix it? Yeah. He said like loads of ships went missing and stuff. I don't know anything about it. And I didn't take the time to ask Siri. So if anyone could just like let us know about the Bermuda Triangle, I would be really appreciative.
Please help.
I don't want to have to Google it.
That's I'm sorry, okay, pod@gmail.com.
Hit us up with your Bermuda Triangle facts and conspiracies, please. So yeah, we cut over to the grade 9 classroom. Alexa is so jazzed about how tall their new teacher, Mr. Garcia, is. She is stoked on absolutely everything. It's still my queen.
She just generally can't believe it.
I mean, I actually really relate to that. So Wheels and Snake are late. I don't care. I doubt that you do either. Moving along.
I just made a note that it was a grand entrance.
Them be like, the next note I wrote down was extreme Bernie Sanders voice. I am once again telling you that you will have science labs at Borden High School.
Wow, this man is extreme Bernie Sanders vibes. I'm ready. I can't wait.
Wanted to know if you found it as equally unhinged as I did, that everyone cheers when they receive this bit of info that they already all know.
I think when it's like first day of school, like everyone's just like hyped on being done with summer break, and like you get the first like real announcement from the teacher. It's unhinged completely.
Yeah. Thank you. You got it there. So back in Radich's class, he's taking attendance, and obviously like Bartholomew is in the wrong class, but he also seems not super inclined to help him. He's just like, Miss Avery's class is downstairs, and that's as much as he gets. Like, this kid is going from, in theory, an elementary school where he was probably shepherded from place to place and in one contained classroom. This whole building, it's brand new. He doesn't know how to navigate it. Like, it's not like they all get a tour.
Yes. And he has like the misfortune of having a last name that exists in popular culture. So Raditz just cannot help but take the bait and basically relentlessly bully this kid who was the victim of bullying by being in this classroom. It like was the result of like him getting bullied, and now the teacher is bullying him. Like, this poor, like, he already looks like the caddie from Happy Gilmore. Does this kid need any more punishment?
I don't think so, man. Like, honestly, it's kind of Radich's pastoral duty as an educator to help him find his class.
It's the same like riff that he did on Yick, where he would call him you the disorganized and like make fun of his last name. Like, he's just not really that interested in like helping students. He'd rather have fun at their expense.
Unless you're Stephanie K and you're suicidal, then he's like, we gotta talk, but only for like a couple minutes.
He did his best there.
Yeah, I would say he did his best given the circumstances. And Stephanie K, wherever you are, I hope that you are at an all-girls school and realizing that you don't need men at all. Here's the thing about the roll call that he's doing. If I may notice something, I noticed a lot of weird little like fuck ups in this episode. He gets to the end of roll call, and Caitlin Ryan is the last one. But Alex is sitting right there, and Alex's last name is Yanku and begins with a Y. So why wasn't Alex the last one called?
Like, this is not an alphabetical order roll call. And it's not a reverse alphabetical order roll call, because Ryan exists like squarely in the middle of the alphabet. So it's not.
I would say it's the latter end.
Sure.
Was it like 9th from last or something out of 26?
I watched you count that whole thing out on your fingers.
I still don't know if I did it right. When Bartholomew realizes he's in the wrong class and everybody starts to laugh, our diplomatic king Scooter tells everybody that it's not his fault and not to laugh at him. And I really, really appreciate that. And it's also weird, as Raditch like ushers Bartholomew out of the door, he kind of gives Yick and Arthur a little bit of like a knowing look, but he doesn't say anything. So I don't know if he's giving them a look like that wasn't cool, or if he's giving them a look like, I know what you did.
Yes, he has no way of knowing that they did anything. So, but like he sees them sort of like, I don't know, do they like high five each other or something? They do something
they do
that
something.
Like that indicates that they were behind this situation. But yeah, like Raditz just has like no way of like being able to confirm that. To me, it felt like I've got my eye on you.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So there's an announcement that the buses are coming to get grade 9s to take them to Borden High. They're once again reminding us that that's where they are going.
At this point in the episode, I have fully understood. I am no longer in the dark. They are going to Borden High for science.
But what happens next episode? Will you remember?
I don't think so.
It's anybody's
No. I'm gonna need like 3 or 4 reminders, and by the 5th one, I'll be good.
You need 3 or 4 reminders in the first like 7 minutes of the episode.
Please help.
So they're getting split up into small groups being shown around at Borden, and Wheels and Snake talk about like people having to push pennies down the hall with their noses.
I need to see this. I don't know what it means, but yes, they're like, so we get like 2 cool high school students, right? One of them is named Paul, and he is wearing my look of the week.
Oh,
hello!
It's
just
so good. It's
yes,
so
he
good.
just stunning. Honestly, like first of all, his hair is just like his hair's immaculate, glasses perfect, and then he's just got this like it's just like a black and gray like striped polo. Like I wrote black and white, but that's not accurate.
It's black and gray.
Black and gray, but he's got a white t-shirt under it, which I think sort of like gives a little extra like tone to the whole thing. Black collar, just a blazer over it.
I think you've had this polo shirt too.
I really do think that I have. Yeah, the other bully that they're not bullies as far as we know.
We can assume, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe the guy who does seem like more of a bully with longer hair, I don't think we get his name. He says something about how all these great like little grade 9ers are going to be pushing pennies, which like at first it felt like a death threat. Like I imagine like pushing daisies.
Oh
yeah,
you're going to be swimming with the fishes.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like pushing pennies. But then Wheels and Snake say something about they give us a little more detail about pushing pennies with your nose. So I don't know.
I need a visual.
Yeah. Oh, I hope we see it.
Like, are they on all fours? Like, and the penny is like they have to keep it rolling down the hallway. Are they like army crawling?
I really hope they make Joey do it somehow.
Oh,
even though he won't even be going to this school. Like, I hope somehow that happens.
Yeah, but then maybe next year when he's finally a minor 9er.
Oh, yes. We can only hope.
My fingers are crossed.
I did like the minor 9er.
I've heard that before.
Really?
Yeah, I've definitely heard that before.
Love it.
But yeah, Lucy locks eyes with Paul in his very good outfit, as Pauls generally tend to have. And I don't know about you, but like Lucy seems to not be allowed to have nice things. So I don't see this going super well, however it goes.
Well, I'm optimistic because I think they'd be adorable together.
You have a lot of belief in a guy named Paul.
I gotta.
Yeah. So back at Degrassi, Joey's coming out of his class and Snake and Wheels are there at his locker waiting for him. He asks them what they think of Caitlin, and they're just like, she's not your type. And then Snake says he'll go after anything with legs. I'm completely unenthused by this entire conversation. Yeah. Joey's trying to figure out when they're going to come over so they can record this demo.
Yo, we got to put this shit on tape.
This is going to be the best demo tape in the world.
Wheels says that when his parents go out, he'll go out. And I think the Zit Remedy is going to live.
I can't believe Wheels is about to blatantly disregard his parents' wishes.
After all they've done for him, after the joyride. How could they? So in Joey's basement, the Zit Remedy is recording their demo. I think at this point, there's literally nothing to say about this song.
Oh, I've got things to say.
They fucking bet you do.
They added a little coda to the end of the song, so it's like,
and never give up.
But with that, we get the addition of a drum machine throughout the whole song that Joey is in full control of. And while the little coda, like, kind of stinger notes are happening, we like see Joey pushing the drum machine button in time with Wheels and Snake. It just goes along with how much I love this show's like accuracy when it comes to music performance, where even though this isn't good, I think the way that they sort of entrust these kids to at least learn, like these kids are just playing these instruments. And I think the accuracy at which it's like, this is what it sounds like when 14-year-olds play music. It's not that good, but this is it. So yeah, just this little scene of like Joey, if you go back and look, you can just see Joey tapping the little drum machine button like rhythmically in time with this song, and I love it. I just think it's a great little moment.
You honestly like absolutely love Degrassi music moments.
It's so real. It's like unbelievable. I can't think off the top of my head of another show that does music better than Degrassi. And that's not really hyperbole.
It's really exciting when we get to the next generation too, because there's so many bands.
It gets more expansive. Like seeing this is just like seeing like this has always been like one of their like sort of mission statements to like depict this accurately. And so like, yeah, it definitely like picks up from here. But like, I mean, everybody wants something, right?
And what I want is accurate depictions of middle school bands.
Yes, please.
So Wheels is already late. He kind of wants to go home. Joey convinces him to stay so that they can hear what they just recorded, which I also think is a vibe. Absolutely. Like, why would you not?
Wheels, come on.
First, you're going to play the song, and then you're going to listen to the song that you just played, and then you're going to talk about the song.
Yeah,
and then the whole walk home, you're going to like sing it.
Yeah. You have like, it feels like you've done this before.
Like, come on, Wheels. How do you not know how this works? So
they've really got us agreeing with Joey here. So I don't know.
I can't believe it, but here we are. And also Joey has a foolproof plan, which is that they're going to sell the demo around school. Then they're going to send it to radio stations. And by Christmas time, they'll be famous and have groupies, and I quote, everywhere.
My note is this. His plan to sell it at school is great. His plan to send it to radio stations is ambitiously unrealistic. His plan to get famous is ridiculous. His plan to get groupies is creepy.
It is really creepy considering he has no game. Like, everyone at school already knows he's in a band. He doesn't need to be on the radio for them to all have heard his song.
No.
I don't think that anyone's going to be throwing themselves at Joey.
I love that it's just the one song still too.
I
They had like all
really
summer to work on
it.
It's also accurate.
You can't reinvent the wheel. That's all I'm saying. So they're like talking about it while this thing is supposed to be playing, and they're like, shouldn't we be hearing something by now? And Joey, of course, like a little dum-dum, forgot to press record.
Always record. Always record.
It looked like it was on.
And immediately she's like, that's fine, we'll just record it again tomorrow after school. He has no concept of other people's time ever.
Seriously.
Oh my God.
That is like a huge blunder, really.
Oh,
They
always
kinda-
press record.
You like, they just scoot past it, but yeah, it's just like, dude, like this is studio time.
So Wheels gets home late and his parents are mad. Is there much to say about that?
Well, okay, let me back up really quick for one more take on they didn't record. So Wheels has to like scoot out and like because Wheels is already like technically late. And we just get like a little like lingering on the recording studio scene where Snake is just sort of like harassing Joey more about not recording. And Joey just is like, I forgot.
Yes, I love that. He was
Which,
such
like,
a whiner.
Honestly, even just that, I was like, all right, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm already, I forgot. God, like, yeah, I've been there. All right.
Yeah. We've all done something equivalent to Joey forgetting to record his own demo.
Yes. I guess that's all I wanted to like focus on, is just the way he said that line brought it home, and just like real as hell.
Like, one of these days, one of us is going to forget to hit record for this podcast.
Oh, I fear it every day. Yes.
Same.
Every time. With the scene at the Wheeler house, I just thought it was weird that like it's just a shot of Wheels and like the dark hallway, and we don't see his parents, and they're just sort of like voices. I don't know. I didn't
know. Do you think that was kind of just a focus on how Wheels was feeling about it? Like, they're not showing the parents' perspective as much. They're showing this from Wheels' perspective, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a better like sort of storyline like interpretation. I just saw it more as like a technical thing where they maybe added the scene late, but then they like the parents, whoever the actors were, like just weren't around any. Like I don't know, like maybe they had to just get audio. No idea what's going on with
they
this
did
scene.
that with the pilot of Grey's Anatomy. They
Yeah.
they added a whole other character after they'd shot the pilot. So they had to add this guy into these like standalone scenes.
Wow. TV magic.
I love TV. So the next day outside of school, Kathleen and Nancy are duking it out for people's votes. And I'm just kind of like, I'm sorry, did no one tell you guys about the Kisses for Votes strategy? You've already seen what the winning campaign looks like. Just do it.
Yeah, well, but it felt like that sort of cursed Stephanie's campaign, like her entire presidency from there. So,
I don't know, man. I think that Nancy and Kathleen are both cursed anyway.
That's true.
Like they'll both be a cursed president.
I do love that like Kathleen just like literally butts in on Nancy's like area and just starts like kind of stealing her prospective students to hand flyers to.
There goes Kathleen again.
Oh my God. It's so Kathleen. It's like, guys, just go in the classroom and put a flyer on each desk. Like it really wouldn't be that hard. Put it where people can't say no to it.
True.
What's wrong with you? Or like on every locker.
Yeah, hang it up.
Honestly, they should have hired me for their campaign. So if there are any middle school presidents to be out there and you need a campaign manager, get in touch. I'm sorry, okpod@gmail.com. I am available for consultation.
I'd love to see it.
I also would love to see it. I was
We're
way too
begging.
introverted to run for president, but I always had a lot of ideas.
And now we'll crush those little 12-year-old punks.
So yeah, in class, Arthur is continuing his middle-aged man vibe and reading the business section of the newspaper. Like for a kid who doesn't want people to know he's rich, he's really like, look how rich I am.
It's my new hobby.
It's like he's just like got his feet up on the desk. Like, is there a roaring fire nearby? Like,
his
what
pipe?
is this? This is where it's finally like, okay, yeah, I guess Arthur's acting a little weird here.
But also he's like 13, right? So what's he doing? Like checking in on his investments?
It's like stock options.
What? He's like, IBM's on the rise. Okay. Oh my God. I want like an episode that's like Back to the Future Part 2, where he finds out about all the different companies whose stock went way up and he goes back in time to the 80s to invest in them with his mom's lottery winnings.
Wow. Yeah. Apple.
Yeah, man. So basically, if there's any movie studios out there looking for an exciting teen romp in time travel, just get in touch. I'm available.
That's I'm sorry, okay, pod.
I'm sorry, okpod@gmail.com. He finally tells Yick the truth, which is that his mom won the lottery. She won over $1 million. Yick actually doesn't seem bothered by this news. Like he's basically like, that's great. He seems happy for Arthur. So in my opinion, and please feel free to argue, but I honestly think that he was just hounding him because he felt like Arthur was keeping something from him, not because he was like, you're rich now, asshole.
Yeah, like once we get here, it does feel like there's like a vibe check of just like Yick has felt like Arthur is being weird, but we, the audience, cannot see that. But yes, it's like a lot of implied, like as his friend, like Yick is just sort of like, I can tell you're acting differently. And I don't know what it is, but maybe it has something to do with this ugly leather jacket.
I mean, if you bought an ugly leather jacket like that, I would also be like, is everything okay, buddy?
No, I just like this jacket.
So out in the hall, Spike is showing everybody pictures of premature Emma. Her friends are like asking about labor. Like they are all middle-aged women who understand this concept. Like, I'm sorry, but like as an 8th grader or a 9th grader, I would have been completely horrified if my friend was just like, yeah, so I created human life and then shoved it out of my vagina.
I think I really just can't even bring anything to this conversation because I would have had zero context for like any of this at this age.
Yeah, like it's cool that the twins are so supportive and they're asking her questions because, like, you know, that's what's going on in her life. And I think it's great that everyone wants to make sure that they're checking in on her and they're asking about the baby. And you know what I mean? Like I do think that that's really cool. And it shows that like they're real friends. So Shane comes up from behind and he wants to see pictures of Emma. Spike is mad that he was gone all summer. He's basically just like, my parents sent me to camp. Didn't you read my letters? She's just like, no, I didn't even open them.
I didn't even open them. That was like brutal.
Really brutal. Listen, I do not want to defend Shane. I don't want to have to do this. You know how much it pains me to defend Shane or Kathleen. You know how I feel, right? But he is a 14-year-old kid. And if his parents are like, we're shipping you off, I really doubt that he had a whole lot of options there to say no.
We all witnessed the like sort of meltdown and this happening. And Spike also was there when they started talking about sending him to like a prep school over the summer, or I forget what the timeline was when the original conversation happened, but she is fully aware of these details. And yeah, she's obviously got to have her own stuff going on, but it feels a little rough.
You know, he's saying Emma's his responsibility too. She's like, fine, then come over and change her diapers. And I'm just thinking, like, if his parents are not letting him see her, like, I don't know what he's supposed to do.
And if he's been sending her letters all summer and she hasn't been responding or anything, is he going to want to just drop by?
Yeah, exactly. Like, she has to kind of meet him halfway. And it feels like the real solution here is the parents need to get together and they need to talk about legal responsibilities. They need to talk about child support. Like, they need to talk about custody. This is stuff that needs to get drawn up in like a court of law. And I can understand her feeling very abandoned. And I'm sure at that age, it's very difficult to be like, well, his parents won't let him have any role in this kid's life.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It feels like she's not understanding that he's really in a tough spot here just as much as they're in very different tough spots.
Exactly. Like, I think and maybe they're just setting it up for like this kind of more complicated conversation that we're having. I don't know, but yeah, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I don't actually know how this is going to play out this season.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the hall, Joey's trying to convince Wheels to sneak out or at least like argue with his parents, basically, so that they can finish recording this demo. Wheels is basically like, I'm tired of being yelled at. Joey is just like,
you can't let them run your life forever.
What do you think you're trying to do, dude? He's trying to run his life.
Yes, I wrote Joey would rather be the one running Wheels' life.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's so true. But they convince Wheels to come over for 1 hour. Joey swears on his mother's grave. Another,
oh boy.
Another moment that we should not linger on.
Nope.
And he says, okay, fine. Like, my parents are going to go to a movie and I told them I'd go with them, but I'll just tell them that I'm not going and then I'll come over to your house instead. So we cut to the Wheeler house. Wheels' mom wants him to reconsider going to the movie. She's basically like confused as to why he's upset, that she's basically like, you can't hang out with one of your own, like, two only friends. 50% of your social circle is now being ripped away from you.
Yeah, she can't believe it. She's also really dressed up for this movie. Is this just like an old school thing?
She looks great.
I mean, but like it feels like more than just a casual, like it feels like they're going to like theater.
Yeah, you're right. Like, she should have tiny little binoculars that she holds.
Yes. Can't wait to enjoy the theater.
Oh, the theater. More accents, please. So Will's mom is basically just like, listen, we like Joey, but he's a bad influence. And I'm like, well, then you don't like him. Like, that's just
half and half.
Stand your ground, lady.
Yeah, pick one.
But like, I just don't really get why they're laying down the law now. Like, it just feels like he was already punished for the quote unquote joyriding incident.
Yep.
And he also did that to get to an eye appointment that she was very clear he could not miss.
Yep.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
wasn't the one driving. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the bad influence part of it.
but they were all already punished. And he was constantly being monitored with regard to like his tutoring, his grades, all that stuff last season. It just feels like he's constantly like
That's true.
being CCTV'd. You know what I mean?
We've discussed how in the trifecta of Yumi and Mary, with the Zit Remedy, our Zit Remedy familiars, and the ways in which we are each one of them, and how I'm Wheels. This actually does feel like another situation where like I am like Wheels, because I was very much not doing anything to specifically get in trouble, but this feels like a situation where like maybe my parents would have been like, well, we're gonna sort of punish you for something that you did via association.
Yeah.
So a minor relate there.
I mean, I had a friend whose mom found cigarettes in her like dresser drawer. And then she was basically like, oh, she blamed it on me, basically. Like her mom was like, oh, it's because you've been hanging out with that kid. And then I wasn't allowed to hang out with her anymore. And I was like, wait a minute, why am I being punished? Because my friend's smoking. Once again, as previously stated, I was really listening to Minor Threat, man. I was very strict in high school. So yeah, whatever. So his
Parents just don't understand.
his parents leave to go to the movies, and on the way out, they remind him,
you know, we really do love you very much.
which feels like a very like, we're about to die, so we just want to remind you that we love you. Like, goodbye. Goodbye forever. Lingering on that was a little weird. And I really like the chat between Mama and Papa Wheeler as they're leaving the house. Like, they're like, oh, don't forget to turn the porch light on. His mom's like, oh, I don't get why he doesn't want to come with us. Papa Wheeler is just kind of like, we're going to have fun at the movie, so he'll have fun. I'm assuming this was kind of an ad-libbed chat, and I thought that they did a really good job. And it felt very, very true to life. It felt like a conversation you would see two parents have as they're leaving their house to go to the movies.
Personally, I found it to be awkward, but I totally agree that I think just because it had to be crammed into the like 20 seconds that they got from the front door to the car, because we don't see them inside the car. So it felt like everything you said is correct, but the way it was sort of like all crammed into this short walk out the house, it felt like they had to cover a lot of ground to be casual. I
feel like we've talked about this kind of scene before. Like there was the scene last season where they're talking about Quest for the Best, and everyone's like making chit chat while they're watching it, and they're like, oh, which school is it? Who is it? What are they doing? And then like there was also the one, I think it was the season finale in season 2, where they're like going between, be like, so last, like old verse, new verse, old verse, new, like, and you can tell that they were told that they need to like go through and have this conversation, but they're not. I mean, they're kids, right? Like I think they're doing a pretty good job, but like and it's believable, like idle chatter, I guess, but it's, they're not exactly like Second City, like, UCB, like, improv actors.
I got a knife.
Yeah, they're not gonna pull out like something really great.
You're probably right, and like the adults, like they had a little bit more like ground to cover in like conversationally, like on the way out the door. So it worked, but it felt weird to me.
Yeah,
but I appreciate that you liked it.
I did like it. Wheels watches them leave, and then he goes to call Joey. And though he has been wearing the same outfit all episode, I chose this scene to spotlight it as my look of the week.
Yeah.
Wheels is absolutely killing it this episode. He is in like light denim everything. He is in a light denim jacket. He is in light denim pantalones. He is in a light denim shirt. He looks sick. It is a Canadian tuxedo, which is just fitting. It's beautiful. Yes. I love every shot of this outfit, but I chose this kind of full bod moment too.
A Canadian tux king.
Yes. He has a lot of them throughout this show, and I want to honor that commitment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we cut over to the basement. The guys are listening to their demo. They actually hit the record button this time, so I'm feeling very proud. Wheel says he needs to get going because his parents are going to be back soon, and Snake decides to go with him. So Joey, of course, obviously is like, oh, aren't you glad you came or whatever.
See, the thing about parents is you can't take them too seriously.
Oh my God. But then they're like, well, that's easy for you to say because you're spoiled. And, you know,
Ha.
as the youngest child, just like Joey, yeah, dude, all youngest children are spoiled.
Oh, what the hell? I'm the oldest.
Yeah, man, that sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, it's totally. That's why I'm the wheels.
Yeah, being the youngest rules. You get all that sick equipment and total run of the basement because your parents are just too tired to continue parenting you.
Like, I didn't look into it, but like Joey's got a pretty good reel-to-reel like recording setup, and he's got like all these microphones.
Right?
Like he's got a full studio.
It's sick. Like, it's so good. I love this basement setup that he's got. Like, I feel like
Totally.
everyone in high school in North America had a friend with a finished basement that had band practices in it.
Oh yes,
I knew
that's
multiple.
how it worked for me.
Yep. I hung out in that basement. It was awesome.
Yep.
I was so bored.
Well, yeah.
But I was also like in high school, so I was like, wow, people can play instruments. The bar is so low. But yeah, so they start kind of ragging on Joey for being spoiled, and he argues with them with the energy of a straight white man who's just been told about white privilege. Like, he's basically like, my parents suck too. Like, they yell at me sometimes.
Oh my God, yes.
And then he talks about how he's going to move out when he's 16. And it really reminded me, I think it kind of called back to that conversation that LD had with, I forget the guy's name in season 1 when her dad is in the hospital and he's talking about living alone and how
the mechanic guy.
Yeah. Like, I felt like it was really similar to that.
Oh yeah, that it does feel like that's in Joey's future.
Yeah,
in
like
this
I'm like,
moment.
oh, is Joey gonna put his TV on the kitchen table so that he can watch TV while he eats?
Because he even mentions that he's in this fantasy scenario, he's still gonna have his mom do his laundry, which really feels like that mechanic guy's vibe.
Did he not say that his mom was doing his laundry? I swear he did.
I think he said his mom cooks him food.
Oh, was it food? Okay. Well,
but
whatever.
But
Yeah,
it just
same
feels
vibe.
implied, even if it's not.
The absolutely like refusal to become untethered from one's parent, no matter how old or young.
I think the modern version of that is being on a parent phone plan.
Oh, or your
Which
parents paying for your insurance, maybe.
Yes, I was on the parent phone plan until like maybe 3 years ago. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's great. I wish I was on a family plan.
Same.
I've been paying for my own cell phone for a really long time. I would love to have that money back. So Wheels and Snake are still singing their own song as they are walking down the street and going
Technically they are singing the Big Finish part that I was mentioning earlier. They are still jacked on this new edition.
I mean, I get it, man. With a song that you've been working on for like an eternity, adding anything new, it must be so thrilling.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, it's like a few weeks ago I got a new salad bowl and I was just like, wow. And it's like nothing else in my kitchen has changed, but I love that salad bowl.
Exactly like that.
It's a tortoiseshell glass salad bowl. It's amazing.
Ooh.
That's really good. Everything looks amazing in it. They're talking about how they want groupies. And as Wheels is peeling away from Snake, he says, okay, Joey, I'll see you tomorrow at school.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know, I did miss that. What is that?
A fuck up that they didn't cut. They were like, we got one try at this, guys. It's a night shoot.
I mean,
There's
yeah,
child labor laws.
There's cops here. Like, the cops are probably annoyed, or we don't want the cops around any longer than they need to be here.
That's fine. His Wheel sees that there's cop cars outside of his house, and immediately his brain goes to, I can't believe my parents called the police, which I was kind of like, that would not be my first assumption if there was cop cars outside of my house. Like, my first assumption would be like, was there a break-in? Are my parents okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I say that as a person who, I think I talked about this in a previous episode. My mother's second husband did call the police and report me as kidnapped when I hung out with friends.
Yeah.
Implications. So, and my brain doesn't go to a parent called the police. And it doesn't really feel like something Wheels' parents would do. They're more of like
No.
They're just like a pestering, nagging, like, we really don't like that boy.
Yes. I mean, it's like he's coming to the most unrealistic conclusion.
Yeah. And Snake's just kind of like, ooh, good luck, bye. Gonna bounce. Yeah, Wheels' grandma like gets out of that cop car. And in my opinion, delivers this news just very badly. Like,
okay.
Is this the way you'd want to be told that your parents have died? Like this like blubbering old lady just being like, Derek, there was an accident. Like, there was a drunk driver. He was going fast. They're dead. Dude.
Oh no.
Like, can we just be honest about the quality of that delivery? It was not up to snuff.
Poor Grandma Wheeler.
Yeah, man.
Poor Graham.
Oh, Nana. Nana's not doing a good job. She doesn't. She hasn't had to deliver that kind of news, maybe.
Yeah.
And of course, Wheels is just like, no, no, like so Canadian with his nose. So R.I.P. to Mama and Papa Wheeler.
Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Very
Just don't
bad.
do it. Don't do it.
I feel like we know what Wheels' fate is much later in the show. And so it's very interesting to me that his parents are killed in a drunk driving accident.
When you say we know, you could be talking to the listener because I have no idea what happens to Wheels, actually.
It's fine. We'll get there. But
yeah. Is it morbid for me to note that Joey's scheming and no means yes mentality actually saved Wheels' life?
I don't think it's morbid. I actually think this may play out as we see Wheels grieve, because I think it may even be like, if it weren't for you, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I should have been with my parents and maybe things would have been different, or,
He could have died.
He could have died.
That's crazy.
Oh, Wheels. So his school year's not off to a good start.
Can't wait for that demo to drop.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do the trick. That'll cure his grief. That'll move him through like at least a few of the 5 stages.
Look, once the groupies start rolling in, then it'll be a-okay.
Yeah, he can use like kissing as a distraction from his pain.
Kisses for votes, kisses for distraction.
Exactly.
Can't relate.
I related to Scooter because I was pretty consistently the nerd who is obviously cooler than the other nerds, but too nice to not let myself be lumped in with all the ultra dorks. And it was always fine.
I related to Alexa in this episode because I too exclaim when tall people are tall. As a short person standing at 5'3", everyone is tall from where I'm standing, and to me, that is beautiful.
Hell yeah.
I was about to do the merry friends, but it's just me and you. So Paul, what did we learn today?
I think this week was similar to the you talk too much vibe from last season's fight episode. So like to a degree, it makes me think of about manifestation and the idea of getting back what you put out into the universe. We get a couple lines here that like, I think it's like just kind of lazy punishment writing to have Wheels openly say things about like wishing he could live without his parents. But I just feel like there is some truth to things echoing back at us depending on our outward attitude. And you got to be careful with that.
Ooh, that was a really good one.
Thanks.
This week I learned that it's important to look inward and question the cycles of trauma and abuse that we perpetuate. Arthur and Yick were bullied in grade 7, and rather than breaking free from the chains of toxic masculinity, they decided to carry on this practice. Even Radich, who knew what they did, simply gave them an I know what you did look after making jokes at Bartholomew's expense himself and not helping him find his classroom, rather than leading by example.
You can listen to I'm Sorry, Okay, a Degrassi podcast on Acast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoy what we're doing here at I'm Sorry, Okay, be sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
That's it for Can't Live With Them, Part 1. Join us next week for Part 2 of this nonstop emotional roller coaster.